We're jumping into Foreboding, which sounds a bit ominous. What's going to happen to our penguins? Well, we start with our penguin already stuck in the storm, and we also get a walrus with a spring. And the penguin does have a hammer, so I assume we're going to be learning about how those two things come together for even more crazy interactions. So let's go into the storm. Yes, there's definitely plenty of storm here, so we have to be really careful about how we move our penguins around so they don't get stuck. But if we just shuffle them about a little bit, everything should be fine. From here, we can get our friend walrus to go and tango. Let's tangle. We've got a blue guy with a spring, we've got a red guy with a mallet, and there is a spring on the floor. So we could either replace the hammer with a spring, or we could just discard the spring for our second penguin. And actually, I think that's gonna be the thing we want to do, because otherwise, if both of them have springs, I think it's going to be really hard to get the red penguin into where he needs to be. Because this way we can get the blue into his exit. Oops. I guess we're learning something here that if we push the spring penguin with a mallet one tile away from the wall, it will cause them to enter the infinite loop and then escape. So that will probably be useful in the future, but right now it's not very useful. So what we want to do instead is get this blue guy here, then the red guy can push him first, and after that we're into our usual spring situation where we can move backwards and the red guy can just get into his exit by himself. So that was a nice tango. We can also just quickly get into free. And who shall we free? Well, definitely the walrus needs to be freed. And we have exit for the green penguin that he needs to go to, but the yellow is spare, so we can allow ourselves to get the yellow stuck or kick him out. So actually yellow is already stuck, but I would presume that with the mallet, we can change that. We can free an animal that's stuck inside a storm using a mallet, but because of how the hammer mallet works, that means the one holding it then gets stuck in that storm, which may or may not be useful here. With the walrus, we know there's a hole at the top, so he could just exit like this, but obviously he's here to help, so he can't just leave right now. And with the green penguin, we would have to either approach with a mallet when someone is in the green circle to then push them out and have the green penguin take their place, or we would have to approach from the bottom, which we could do doing the various tricks with our mallet sliding one by one, right? So here he could get into green, but we also need to get the yellow penguin out the way. With doing that, we would have to still have someone push the walrus first, and only then the green penguin would be up. But we don't have enough mallets for everyone, so I don't think that's going to work. So instead of getting both our animals stuck by using the mallet going from the right, I think we could use the mallet coming towards the left if we just use the walrus to help us out. And then if we do so, the yellow penguin gets the mallet. And then if we can line him up underneath, he will be able to push the green penguin up into his exit, but the walrus still needs to be able to go, which I think that means we need to swap them around like this, and now do the same alignment going the other way. So now the walrus can just exit normally, and the yellow pushes the green up, and we're free. From here we can also get to Jackhammer. We've got the spring and the mallet, and I guess because there are no holes, this is where we're gonna get into that bit where we can create an infinite loop with the hammer and the spring. But we don't want to do it here. We want to get over to the other side because the green penguin needs to be stopped in his preferred exit. So if we do it like this, yes, in one move, we put the penguin in his exit and we get the walrus out of here. The penguin here can also get us into disguise. So no hammers here, just a spring. It's just a hole in the wall and couple storms. So it feels like going towards this stick out bit on the right is not a good idea because yeah, there's a hole in the floor and storm. However, with the hole in the floor, it might be that's what we're gonna use to get the walrus out of here instead of him jumping over the wall. Because I think if we get the blue penguin into his exit, and then have the walrus to the right of him, he can just get in the hole. If we can arrange that happening, of course. So with this, we can help the walrus move around like that. But we still need to get the penguin aligned to go where he should be, right? So I think this is the walrus position. It's just about aligning the penguin to the middle as well. The penguin can now go here and here. The walrus can come as a block. The penguin comes back. And now, if we move towards the hole, we will get stuck like before. But if we move towards the penguin, we should just end up on the hole. And he's out. But he likes it. So it's all good. So I think we need to get into here as well, which gives us Flutter. Now we've got to have a bunch of things interacting. We've got the hammer, the breakable wall, the spring, and the hole. So we know the hammer can just go through the breakable wall, which means, yes, he can get over the breaking floor and he can get through the wall, but that means he just ends up going out on the other side. So there will be a trick to this. And I think it means that the blue penguin will not be using the hammer because there is no way for him to do this. I think this will be some sort of interaction between the blue penguin using the spring and the yellow penguin using the hammer to push him into his exit somehow. Because obviously if he just bounces like this, we just open the hole and we end up with the floor broken and we got nowhere. But if we send the yellow penguin after him, okay, not like that, but we could do it when we're closer, which means we want to have the blue penguin right in front of there. And then we want the yellow penguin come and smack him. Yes, and then it causes a bounce back, but because we haven't left the breaking tile yet, that's fine. And we can come through to the other side. And that's Flutter complete. What else we got here? I think our walrus and our penguin need to interact a bit more so that we can get into drop. So for this one, we definitely want the spring to finish with because that will let us actually stop in the exit we have. But as we're seeing here, the mallets get in the way because obviously then we end up dropping the spring. So our first order of business will be to get them off the board. So we can grab that one, but then can we just grab the spring and go, or do we have to remove the other mallet first? Because now we can once again go through here. Now we didn't lose the spring, so we can do this. And actually we can just back into our exit and yes, not worry about the other mallet at all, because we are stopping either way. For the bottom two levels, we need to get them both in there, because the red penguin is not going to be able to maneuver around there alone, and the walrus is also probably not going to be able to do everything himself, especially get into that first corner, I think. So I think we need to get the red penguin above the walrus. Okay, so if we do this, we can shove him down there and then he can move himself along, but we still need the penguin to once again bounce back. We're into cleanup. Okay, now we've got a selection of mallets, a spring, we've got more tools than required, and only the green penguin has an exit. And the way this is set up, it does feel quite a bit like someone will need to stand in the green circle first so that they can be then pushed out by the green penguin to stop there. And actually it feels like the way to get in there is by having the spring. So I think we're trying to get the blue penguin out and then use him for this. So this way we can have the yellow penguin push the blue out, but then he picks up the mallet, so we use the spring. And so I think that second mallet, we just want to get rid of it. But we need to set this up first. The obvious thing is that we could use the green penguin to pick up this hammer, but then he's kind of stuck in here. And so I think, as always, the game wants us to do something more complicated and get the yellow penguin to do that. But that means we need to swap the two of them around. One hammer is spare, so we don't care about doing this like that. And then we're able to get the yellow penguin here, give him the hammer. Now, if he goes here, yeah, he will push the blue penguin out and the blue penguin is free to move. But once again, we need to swap him and the green penguin around. Now we have to be careful how we push him out so that he doesn't end up jumping out of the level. And with this, yes, we can bounce back into the exit, and then the green penguin just shoves him out because he doesn't care about his penguin friends, he just cares to get to his exit. Now we've got this level here. The walrus can't do it alone, but the penguin can do it if we sacrifice the walrus, and now we can nag. Now I'm noticing that most levels are named with words, like we can see here, but then we've already seen a couple other levels like this where they named some 2 or 3 letter capital word thing, because last time we had PNE, which I misread as PNA as well, and now we have NAG, and there was something else earlier on that I think was 2 letters long, so definitely something that we need to pay attention to, write all of them down, see where that goes. Maybe nowhere, but I'm always suspicious of that kind of things because this game is supposed to go deep, so I wouldn't put secret messages past it. Anyway, this level, we actually just have gray exits that we need to get the gray penguins into, and our red friend with a hammer will have to achieve that for us. So of course we have to be careful about infinite loops, which, yes, moving up and down from here immediately will get them shoved out of the level. So we can either go right or down, and then we're able to push him into his exit. But that obviously now blocks our access to this other penguin, because wherever we push him, he's getting kicked out of here. So we have to find other approaches to them. What we can do is get them in and then out of their end spot. So once we get to here, we can get this guy into the exit. But this is still not what we want, because now we can't get behind the other guy to push him. But if we get him out once again, we can push that guy from the top and then that guy from over here. And there we go, that's nag complete. Now to finish off this level, we have to get our red penguin into the exit, which means we need to bring the walrus back. He needs to help us. Of course, there is that bonus level past the water, but I am becoming more and more convinced that this is after we go through rapid brain expansion by finding more and more secret interactions, and then we'll be able to hop over the wall and the water and the big rock and get there. So I'm not worrying about them too much. I'm hoping that eventually I will learn something in these 94 different ways of interacting with the animals that will explain this better. So for now, let's worry about getting this level select complete. I realized in editing that I missed this level up here in the top corner, so we still need to go to Heist. In here, we've got our 2 penguins with their exit, and we also got a spring in the green exit. Doesn't mean that who's getting it, but we will see. But the problem is, right now, if we try to grab the spring, we'll get stuck, right? Whichever way we approach it, we will end up in a storm. So we need to do some extra steps here to be able to grab it and bounce away further. So now the green penguin has it and he's free, but we still need to work out how they get to their exits. We can move them down here and do some of the bouncing that will get the blue guy into here. And now it's gonna be okay for the green guy to get stuck in his exit. And there we go, the heist was complete. And now I've got all of the levels here, except that bonus one at the bottom, which I'll have to get back to at some point. And now back to the rest of the video as it was. For that, we need to get the walrus to be in the red exit, basically. So if we can get him into the top corner, that will be the basically step before that. Now he can bounce back in this way, and now the red penguin can follow. And that gives us both the penguin finishing and the walrus in set out. And we've completed foreboding. Now this level is failed because of what we were doing to even get to it. But instead we need to do a little bit more shoving here to get all the penguins into their desired exits. Oh, and the rainbow is here once again. So what's going on with that? Here we can actually step on it, right? Because last time we saw the rainbow, we were not able to get to it because it was behind a wall. So I think our blue guy can get there by just using his springing. And what is this then? Bring an animal with its item out of a puzzle using the rainbow. Ooh, so now we brought the blue penguin here with his spring instead of the red penguin, which means it unlocks a completely new moveset for the top level selection, and that likely means we can get to new things, right? He can use his spring to bounce here into transition. There's other levels available here. For example, the green guy can get into impossible. Well, that's curious. Okay, well, impossible is 2 penguins stuck in storms, an exit that they can't stop at because there are no walls here. But even before the walls, yes, we can't move. The one interesting observation here is that when I have only one of the penguins selected, but when I move, both of them try to move in the same way, which means if they're the same color, I don't think we've ever had that before, they're always different colors so far, other than the gray ones, but we can't control them. If they're the same colors, we control them simultaneously. So that's something to look forward to, but I guess we can't do the impossible puzzle yet because our brain is just not big enough for that situation. And instead, we get into transition. Here we are forced to go into Lemniscate because the red penguin is stuck there and all the walruses and the green penguin cannot move until the red penguin can get out and press the button. There's also a new item here, the cane, but again, can't get into it until we're able to move. Okay, and Lemniscate is level selection, and we've got lasers shooting all across, and we've got the penguins locked into thinking, and we got some free walruses. Well, let's start with some thinking then, as if we haven't been doing any thinking so far. Okay, we've got them lasers shooting to the exits, so will the lasers take us to the exits? Is that what's going on? Yes. We have teleported, and when we teleport, animal maintains their direction apparently, but I guess we don't get to see it here because all the teleporters are just enclosed, or all the exits are enclosed in walls, so that is not a useful information right now. Well, what we're trying to do here is get the right ones to the right teleporters then, right? Because green needs to go here. Then blue and red will need to go down there, but I guess we may still need green to help them out with their positioning. So we have to use this vertical here to swap the penguins around until they're able to get to the right places. So now the red penguin is where he needs to be, but the green and blue still need to swap. And now we're able to send them all through their teleporters and into their exits. So now we can move on to Inertia. And I guess here we'll be able to see more about this whole continuous moving, because yes, when we come out the teleporter, he gets there and he gets stuck in the storm, which means we have to solve it by, well, he would either have to be going down when coming out of the teleporter, or he would be going left and right, but the walrus is already there to help him stop. So obviously the walrus is able to go down and get stuck in the exit, but then the penguin can only exit to the right and just get dunked in the water. Obviously for walrus that would be useful to do, but not before we also help the penguin get where he needs to be. If we had the walrus in this corner and then the penguin is able to go around the area, then we should be able to send the penguin going down. But for that we need to be able to swap them around in their order going around that direction, which obviously they've got this very helpful little nook here to mess with us trying to do so. But if we put the walrus here, we can get the penguin going that direction, which then lets us lock him off here so he can go down, and then the walrus can just exit and get in the water like he likes to do. From there we can go into while. Are we gonna be looping? Well, it looks like the only thing we want to do here is get the walrus out, and the only thing preventing him from just going in there and jumping out the water is the fact that there are various storms in the corner. But so if we use the penguins, we can then help him move around without getting stuck, because they're gonna get stuck instead. Well, so this almost works except for the fact that we still need to be able to turn this corner. So can we do this without getting a penguin immediately stuck at the top, and instead exit through like this, get the penguins going down, and then our walrus is here. But now... yes. I was like, and then what we're doing, because now the penguins are blocking the exits as well. But turns out, I guess you can have the same thing with teleporters, where if we cause an infinite loop, the animals will get launched. And so that's why it's called while, because it's to do with looping. From here, we've got momentum. We've got a green penguin with a spring, so he will have to teleport. But if he teleports like this, because of the spring, he will just end up bouncing. And yes, he can only come out going down or come out going to the left side, and both of those will cause him to bounce. If he goes down, it will actually cause him to infinite loop and bounce. So to me, this seems to imply that we're going to be doing something with the red penguin going in there first. And then, okay, well, we learned something, but wasn't it? Animal at the end will be launched. Okay, so when we teleport to somewhere and an animal is staying at the exit, they are getting launched as well. So in this case, it didn't fully help because we still ended up bouncing. But does that help? I mean, it must be helping us, right? Does it mean that if we were to come from the top, it would change something about the infinite loop we would get stuck in otherwise. So we could do this, get the red penguin stack, and then we come through the top. No, we're still infinite looping if we do this. Our other option is to go to the teleporter through the spring bounce back, because the bounce back is a single thing. So in theory, if we bounce back into the teleporter, we're stationary as we teleport, and therefore we no longer have momentum. So that would mean we need to get the green penguin basically one tile above the teleporter and the red penguin directly above him. So like this, except the green penguin has to move one tile to the left. If we get the red penguin over here, we can then bounce back the green and the red goes above him. And now the moment of truth. Yes, that works. My assumption was correct. So from here we can take the penguin to turn. And what are we turning? Who are we turning? Well, we've got to put them both in the exit. And we have a single-use teleporter because what? Or is there like precedence if someone goes into this? Okay, yes, the floor has collapsed. Yes, teleporter on broken ground can only be used once, and that removes the teleporter. I was wondering immediately about that. Well, this teleporter can only be used going down, right? So it would imply to me that it's the blue penguin that needs to use it in order to stop in his exit. But if I do that and use the green penguin to stop, then the green penguin is not positioned correctly to get to his exit, because of course it has to be more complicated than this. There is an option where we have the green penguin come out the teleporter and then he gets to stop on the blue penguin. Right, obviously not like this, but if the blue penguin was in his exit at the time, and then that would put the green penguin basically at the top of him and he can then go to his exit. And we can basically do it like this, right? Because now he's in the exit and he gets in here and yeah, get out. I guess that works. I guess after you've came out the teleporter, normal rules apply. From here, we've got Quake. So we've got a green penguin, which he will get stuck when he goes to his exit. And then we've got a walrus that clearly can only exit through an infinite loop. But now the teleporter is not aligned to cause an infinite loop, right? If we come to the side, he will just end up going on another level, and that's not gonna help. But the other thing we learned is the launching if you teleport on top of someone, right? So if we get the walrus onto the teleporter exit and then we teleport the penguin there, he should get launched and removed from the level. So if we swap them around like this right now, if the penguin goes in the teleporter, he will launch the walrus. But now that doesn't put the penguin in a way that he can exit. So we also want to be able to go up from the teleporter as we do this. So more steps required to align that situation. Because obviously from here we end up there and we want to end up under the teleporter for that to work. So if we put the penguin here before the walrus teleports, we can have them move around. So now the penguin's right, and now the walrus can go here. We move up, launch the walrus, and go to the exit. And that's the Quake. From here, we can send someone to the central level called the Wormhole, or we can go to the Interruption. Well, I mean, Wormhole sounds fascinating. Oh, wow. That's just a bunch of teleporters, all leading to the green penguin's exit. But yes, if we just go there like this, we've launched ourselves, and this is animal can start on a teleporter. Okay. I mean, some of them are already on the teleporter when they start. Oh, does it mean like if you're standing on the teleporter as you start, you don't get immediately teleported, right? Well, so we have to prevent them going into infinite loops. So, for example, if we send someone going down, right, the blue penguin will stop them and then they're not stuck. But now he can't move to his exit because he will end up like this. But actually, if I do this and then move the red penguin, the yellow can stop here. However, now the red penguin, if he goes into teleporter, he will struggle to get to his exit. So I think we have to work out who goes first and where. Because red penguin can go through here and then he will stop in his exit because the yellow penguin's there to stop him. But actually, if he goes the other way, he can stop over there and then, I mean, just manually go in there. I'm not sure that helps. From there, the yellow penguin can go down to stop on the blue penguin. But now the yellow penguin doesn't have someone to stop him there. But he will if we move the green penguin first. Oh, but that sort of messes up with what we were doing before. Okay, yes. We just have to get the order exactly correct. So if green goes down, red can only go down. But then once he's gone out of the teleporter, he can go again and then he goes right to stop. Then the yellow can go down and use the green to help him. Then the green goes down here and then does the blue move now? Because now the green and the blue will be swapped. And if I do this and then send the green down, the blue will get launched, so we don't want that. If the green goes up, that's an infinite loop for him. But if he goes right, he will stop on the red penguin and then the blue can just move up. He doesn't need to teleport. He's like, I'm not doing those shenanigans, I just move normally. So that's the wormhole for us. And from here, let's do interruption. Okay, we've got two teleporters connected to each other. So if we send ourselves into that teleporter, so animal will not use the teleporter if it enters the teleporter tire by teleporting. So they are not a continuous action. That's the same as starting on the tile. You don't immediately teleport. Which means they will both need to go into that tile. We can get into an infinite loop here as well. Yes, they need to go into that tile by going down. There is also a single-use wall under the pink teleporter, so if we do this, that wall is used up, and therefore then going down through that teleporter, yes, causes us to end up in the water. So we have to be careful about when we want to use it, because now the blue penguin can go to his exit, and green could go there if he can also enter the pink teleporter from the top, but he can't because of the lack of walls. If we do this, we can send the blue penguin into this teleporter going left, but he will not end up in an infinite loop because he will stop on the other penguin, which means we can basically move them bit by bit towards that other teleporter. I think the problem I have is that I want the blue penguin to be there going last, because this way we can send the green penguin in and then we can send the blue penguin like this, but they're swapped, right? So I have to redo the process, but have them swapped around when they go in here. But that should be easy enough if I just do this. Then they go down in the other order, so he goes there, He can go down and exit there, and then the green guy can go in, use the single-use wall, and then exit to his exit. Next, we get into the flow. We've got 3 penguins and 3 exit, including our gray guy that we cannot move by himself, but we can force him to move. Oh, interesting. So when I punch him here, I send him forwards with the power of the hammer, but because the green penguin teleports, he ends up stopping him from just falling off the edge. So now we gotta be thinking in like things happening simultaneously, because a lot of the other previous steps was like, yeah, we hit thing and there's a reaction, but it's all happening in order. Now we have to think about like, oh yeah, and now you pop out on the other side and cause some other interruption on the flow and stuff like that. So if we did that to the red penguin, he would have been able to go to his exit here. But that means we have to get the gray penguin, yes, into position like this by teleporting him into that exit. And then we will be able to bash him in there. Well, but now we can't go to the teleporter from the left side because obviously that was a single-use floor. So we've got to think about it a bit more. Maybe there's a different order to things. So if we send the gray and green penguin over here and do what we did with them interrupting each other, we can also put the red penguin into the mix like this. But now we still have to get the green penguin out to the other side. But yes, we can do this with some extra teleporter steps. Now we can't go into the teleporter, right? Because now we're gonna launch ourselves. If we do it slightly different, and instead of the red penguin coming over, we still use the teleporter to push each other about. Yes, now they end up over their respective exits, and we've done the flow. Yes, it's getting more and more complicated with the teleporting all over the place. We've also got 4. So now we've got interconnected teleporters, and if we just send ourselves there, yes, we can just keep going and going and going. I assume eventually this will also count as an infinite loop, because even though it's not in a single teleporter, yes, we're still just stuck doing this. So eventually we get sent out. This might be what we use to get the walrus out, because of course he cannot exit here because all of the open edges are blocked by teleporters. And the green penguin can just go to his exit, but then he will block the walrus from becoming an infinite loop. But if we send him like this, then the walrus gets blocked here, so maybe we can use some tricks to move them around into the places we want them to be in. I probably didn't want to have that temporary wall destroyed right now. Because if I can send the penguin into the middle lane, then I can hide him in that little nook and get him out of the way of the walrus going the infinite loop, and then put him back into his exit. Because yeah, now we can do this, right? We can enter there and stop. Go down, he's just gonna sit in this nook, send the walrus on an infinite loop adventure, and then the green penguin can just go up, and there we go. 4 is done. From there, we go into leap, and we've got 2 teleporters again, and we can make infinite loops by just going onto the side. But of course, that required us to have the walruses in a way that we needed to align the situation. So I assume we have to do some sort of configuration where when one goes into the teleporter, the other one is in the correct position already to go into another teleporter and also have an infinite loop. But yes, that means they have to be going into the teleporters going either left or right. Going up is unhelpful because then they just end up in the little nooks. We can also do this. We can also have one of them standing on an exit while the other one exits the teleporter. But can we achieve that? Yes, we can get him going like this. But then yeah, he gets launched and we can just go onto the other teleporter and launch ourselves using infinite loop. So yes, just trying out the different ways you can leap out of the level. Accidentally looped myself in the level selection. I do wonder now, like, will there be a way to... Because the teleporters here in this level select, I don't think they're useful for navigating to the levels, right? They're purely here to, well, play around with, but also, yes, is there a configuration where we send ourselves into a loop that will cause us to somehow hop onto this level that's behind a wall? Because here, if I'm going left, I eventually end up here jumping left. But could I do this if I was going down? Would I end up jumping down? But then that doesn't cause an infinite loop like that, right? We can only go left and right into the teleporters. Or no, actually we can only go left because they're always positioned to go left, and we can go up and down depending on where we are. Yes, this is very curious. It feels like for a bunch of them we're like almost there with the information we need, right? Yes, we could do this and then we launch, but how do we control where we launch to and where do we go over the walls, over the water? So for now, I guess we just continue with the normal levels and we go to Ricochet. Because we're gonna be learning more about springs and teleporters, I guess. We've got the blue guy here already in his exit, which is not gonna stay in, I assume, because that's not how things work in this game, right? But if he comes out, he breaks this wall, so we have to make sure that we know how we're using this, we know what we're doing. This is interesting as well because he can't easily enter his endpoint because the teleporter is blocking the way, and if we're going up, he just ends up out in the water. But that means he probably needs to take the spring so that he can go backwards into his exit. Because if we have the red guy just come down, right, he will go into his exit, break the wall, go there. Then we take the blue guy out. Now we may need more help from the red guy to get our spring penguin into the teleporter in the first place. Because as always, there is always extra steps. Nothing in this game is just a simple situation. We can get him around like this. And then he can go into the teleporter, but the red guy still has to enter the teleporter first. It's not gonna work otherwise. But yes, we just have to use him to get the green guy aligned before that happens. So I don't actually think that's possible. I don't think it's possible to put the red guy in first while the green guy has the spring. So I think we're still just going to use the red guy to help him get in. But then potentially, yes, that's when the blue guy comes out to stop the green guy. Oh, and actually, yes, because he comes out, bounces back into the teleporter, and that counts as a full stop when he comes out again. He's in his exit. Okay, and then the blue guy can get out of the way, and the red guy can just go out and normally slide in where he goes. Yes, the extra interaction of like teleporter, you bounce out with the spring, you bounce back, so now when you go into teleporter, you are stopped. Wow, brain explosion. Okay, well, one more normally accessible level. Again, the free capital letter EYO. This time. So far the ones I have, they don't like adapt to anything. I can't see them forming any words yet, but I'm not discounting it as a possibility. We've got hammer and we've got a teleporter, and we've got to get the blue guy going into the teleporter. Well, going to the left would be ideal, but you can't go for the left, there's a giant hole. So how is that going to work? I assume the hammer will somehow be involved in that situation. So he can of course teleport himself there, but if it's anything but going left, that's just straight into the water, and that's unhelpful. I guess if he had a hammer and he used it on one of the other penguins, well, it will have to be yellow penguin, right? The yellow penguin basically does not move out of his spot until the blue guy can hit him with a hammer, because then, yes, the blue guy will teleport fully stop, because hitting someone with a hammer makes you stop, and then he will be able to go to the exit. But before we're able to fully do this, and yes, pushing the yellow upwards is also what we want to achieve, because that gets him into his exit. We have to also make sure we've aligned the red penguin with his exit, which means he has to be to the other side of the blue penguin. Potentially that means we have to figure out when is the best time to pick up the hammer, right? Do they swap around first? Would he pick up the hammer up first? Although we may be limited in this situation. They can go around here and then he gets the hammer here. But if we move him up here, the yellow penguin can go in there. He comes down with the hammer. And we... no. I was like, and then we do the thing with the pushing. We don't, because that wall is a single use. So once we've bounced from there, we can no longer be pushing like this. But we can do this. Yes, and then the red penguin can return to his exit. And we can push those two, and then the blue penguin just gets out on his own. And now that's everything here accessible normally done. But of course we can also finish the level by having the walruses, the yellow penguin where he's now, but the walruses need to infinite loop. But for both of them to be able to infinite loop, we have to put them in the right positions. The yellow penguin can get himself to the exit if we just teleport him, to that side, and then he's there. But he has to help the walruses to get into a position where they're able to enter the infinite loops. Because they can help each other, like one can help the other get there. Like this, now the green is able to do that. But then the blue can come up, be on this side. And then the penguin can help him also get into the infinite loop. And then he ends, and success. And then we're back into transition. Here we actually have a bomb on our head, and therefore that's a new thing, but we don't even get to use it, I guess, because what will happen is that, we can walk into here, but I guess then we also have an option to send the walrus to pick up the cane and do that as well. But we don't get to immediately find out what the cane does, because when we step on it, we get locked into this level. So I think those will be the two things we learn about next time. Bombs and canes. I mean, it's a cane and it's called walk, so I assume the cane might be something to do with going slower, stopping, and basically walking. The bomb, I guess explosions, but what are the rules for the explosions? What kind of mechanics are those going to unlock? And also, before we even get into that, we can also get ourselves into this teleporter and pick up the rocket. However, that didn't really help because we just launched ourselves. Oh, launches on impact. So that's another mechanic we're gonna be getting into. However, I was hoping for the rocket to be some sort of exciting way to fly around the level, but instead that means we will be even more restricted because it launches anytime we hit something while we have it. But I assume it has to be useful in some ways. So many new tools to get excited for the next time. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the penguin adventures this time. Thank you to channel members for supporting the channel. If you enjoy my content, don't forget to like or subscribe, and I will see you soon on another adventure.